Hello cuties, and welcome to my heroic Durumu the Forgotten 25-man guide. I'm going to assume that you have done this encounter in normal mode, and as such, I will not be covering most of the normal abilities. For this encounter, you want to bring 1 to 2 tanks, 6 healers, with the rest of the raid being DPS. Warlocks and elemental shamans are very good on this encounter, because they do a high amount of damage to the ice walls. There are a few new abilities added to heroic mode on this encounter. Let's talk about the ice walls first. These ice walls will spawn in the same location every time, and will spawn right before every maze and right before the second and third light spectrum phase. These walls shouldn't present much of an issue as long as your DPS focuses them down. We'll talk more about these later. The second heroic ability is Dark Parasite. Every 60 seconds or so, 3 random players will get a debuff called Dark Parasite that lasts for 30 seconds. The longer this debuff stays on the player, the more damage it does. This debuff can and should be dispelled at some point, but it's important that it doesn't get dispelled too early because it will spawn more ads. How to deal with this debuff is simple. Dispel the Dark Parasite debuff when it has 14 seconds remaining. When the Wandering Eyes spawn and attach themselves to players, make sure you only dot them up, as any damage they take is copied to whoever they are attached to. So if you get a 500,000 fireball crit for example, then that player is most likely dead. The third heroic ability is the Amber Fog. This ad has about 3 million health and will spawn from the yellow beam when the yellow beam reveals it. All you have to do is to make sure you have some DPS on yellow beam that kills every single Amber Fog that it spawns. Since they only have about 3 million health each, this should not be an issue. Last but not least, in heroic you have to kill the 3 Crimson Fogs within 80 seconds or Durumu will cast Obliterate and kill everyone in the raid. Alright, let's get to the strategy. The first thing you have to do is to decide how you're going to deal with the light spectrum phase. The most common ways to deal with it is to either have players put the raid markers down where the fog spawn, or just have 4 markers up as cornerstones. On our kill and in this video, we use the markers as cornerstones as you can see here, and just called out blue fog by yellow, red fog by green, and that worked really well for us. The second thing you have to decide on is whether you want to use 1 or 2 tanks. I recommend using 1, and that's because you can use Hand of Protection to remove the serious wound debuff that the tank gets. If you choose to use 1 tank, then use Hand of Protection when the tank has 5 stacks of serious wound. By the time the tank has 5 stacks of serious wound again, the maze should be coming and the debuff should fall off during that. Sometimes this is a bit gimmicky and Durumu will apply the debuff right after the maze so it won't fall off. If this happens, just use Hand Protection again and it shouldn't be an issue. The best time to use Heroism or Bloodlust is right as the fight starts. When you get Lingering Gaze, make sure you run out with it and drop it on the edge of the platform. When the light spectrum phase starts, make sure you kill any Amber Fog that spawns, and make sure that you're quick with the red beam to kill any Crimson Fog that spawns, since you only have 80 seconds to complete this phase. You'll get more Lingering Gaze in this phase as well, and as before, run out and drop them on the edge. Whenever you get Dark Parasite, assign 3 players to dispel the debuff players, and dispel the debuff at 14 seconds remaining. This will spawn Wandering Eyes, which has to be dotted up and never targeted by any big single target damage spells. Make sure that your tank is aware of this as well, as for example a Protection Warrior's Dragon Roar will kill anyone with Wandering Eye if he's too close to the tank. So either try to stay away from the tank if you have any Wandering Eyes on you, or have your tank stop using those abilities until there are no Wandering Eyes left. After each light spectrum phase, there will always be a Force of Will, so make sure you avoid getting hit by this. Also, he can use Force of Will right before each maze starts, so make sure you always watch out for this as well. Once the light spectrum phase is over, move the raid to the west side of the room as you can see here. The reason you do this is because of the ice walls and his disintegration beam location. His beam will spawn just over the left ice wall as you can see here. And what you want to do is start attacking the left ice wall first. The reason I say start attacking is because you might have to change to the ice wall on the right, depending on which way the maze starts. You will see these small squiggly things on the ground. If they spawn where you are standing, by yellow marker in this case, you want to move to the right and kill the right ice wall. If they spawn by the blue marker in this case, to the left of the ice wall, then you want to kill the left ice wall and run through the beam. If this happens, make sure you are very quick on running through the beam as soon as the ice wall is down, and if you have any issues with damage on this ice wall, it's a good spot to use your DPS potions on. Once either left or right ice wall is dead, you just run around the maze like normal while DPS in the rest of the ice walls. Always have your raid gather by the west side of the room after each light spectrum phase and or maze, so that you don't have anyone getting cut off from the rest of the raid by ice walls or out by themselves getting hit by drain life. Right before the second and third light spectrum phase starts, he will spawn new ice walls. These shouldn't pose much of a problem. Just keep an eye out for where the red fog spawns and kill the ice wall towards that direction so you can reveal and kill the crimson fogs as quickly as possible. At this point, you just rinse and repeat this. Once you have gone through a maze and a light spectrum phase with ice walls, that is the entire fight, that it just repeats itself. I hope that this guide helped you guys kill this eyeball. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.